Hey guys, thank you for joining us once again on the Words Are Tough. I did the Words Are Tough again.
You did it again.
So on Words Are Tough, episode 23. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and my co-host here,
I'm David Diokendo,
and we want to bring you through some enjoyable visual experiences that we've gone through in these past few weeks.
Yeah,
I know that a lot of things have been thrust into the top 10 at Netflix, and other things that people are excited about. But we want to talk about some of the ones that we recently watched.
yeah. I mean, this is not like new news, but like have you heard of this show called Squid Game? Like,
oh man, yeah, definitely. I didn't know anybody else watched that.
Yeah, but that show was so. It's still pretty popular now, but it blew up in like mid to late September to throughout October. I had students that would just watch it during class. I'm like, you need to put that away. Like, this is such a good show, and I'm like, you need to put your phone away.
So kids Netflix and chill during the classroom?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, not the chill part, but they do Netflix during class. And I'm like, I understand it's a really good show. I'm on episode 5 or 4 or whatever. You need to put it away. But did you, you saw it.
Yeah.
Assuming.
Yeah,
did you see it? There's like two different teams. There's like dub or sub. Did you watch it dubbed, like with English dubbing, or subtitles?
I watched it dubbed.
Oh my gosh. I don't think we could contain this podcast anymore. I watched it subtitled because I can't stand the voice acting. Like, I don't know. I'll try to mimic it, but it's like, hey, what are you doing? I don't know. Hey, Jim. It's like, it's this weird, like, exaggerated caricature type of voice.
Yeah.
That I can't seem to get into. Maybe Dragon Ball Z is probably the only show I can like watch it dubbed because I grew up watching it dubbed. But like, I don't know any other voice. But I watch a subtitle. I'd rather just read it and maybe learn a little bit Korean, and in the meantime while watching it. What was your did you like after the end of it you were like, oh yeah, I get why this is so popular, or after watching you're like, I don't get why this is so popular?
Well, yeah, for me, some of the shows I like to watch, like I watch some shows that are like really slow burns, and this one I think it was like it kicks into gear, like the first episode's great, I think, but like for a lot of people, I think like when it catches the attention of everyone, like you're waiting for like the second, third episode, somewhere in there. But yeah, once I started seeing once the contestants came into the episode, it really showed like why people really like this show a lot to me, especially the elderly man.
Yeah,
for me, I think he is like very underrated actor. But yeah,
all I know is that once they played, I think in episode 2 or was it 1? I forget. Early on, when they played Red Light, Green Light, immediately I was like, something is wrong with that old dude. Because, by this point, if you haven't seen the show, like, there's going to be a lot of spoilers, by the way. Immediately, once they started playing Red Light, Green Light, and he's smiling and, like, enjoying it, I'm like, I know he has a brain tumor, but that's not the right behavior to have while people are around you getting shot.
Yeah.
And at that point, the whole show, I was just like looking at that guy kind of like side-eyed, like, I don't know about this old guy. I can't. Maybe he doesn't really have a brain tumor. Maybe he's not who he said he is. Why is he the only old guy and everyone else is kind of like middle-aged?
Yeah.
Or young. There's maybe a handful of characters that are like millennials or 20s, but he was one of those characters where like he really literally stuck out like a sore thumb, and he was number 1. And when you translate his name into English, it's literally like number 1 man or first man or something like that. So it's like, that's odd. But is there a particular like episode or moment in the show that you liked a lot, or the opposite that you disliked? Like, oh, that scene just threw me off.
Well, I think
This episode is sponsored by Nbox, a modern mailing center designed to meet the security needs of our time. Whether it's shopping for our favorite products or paying monthly bills, statistics show a transition to online convenience. It's quick and simple, which is why we love it. Unfortunately, it's created a new kind of criminal that seeks to steal your identity or take package right from your porch. As a listener, you can enjoy $5 off the lifetime of your subscription to an Nbox package plan when you enter tough words without spaces at checkout. Visit www.nboxdelivers.com to learn more.
Awesome. I love Nbox. Check out their website below, and you can check out all their services, their service area, and definitely love using their services. And for our next sponsor, we have Premier Rank Marketing. They can help you out if you have a business, whether it's selling stuff online or you have a brick and mortar location, restaurants, gyms. The company's helped so many people during the pandemic grow their online presence. So if you need any help from social media to Facebook targeting campaigns, Google, LinkedIn, and all the other, even TikTok, they do TikTok ads. Just reach out to Premier Rank Marketing and let them know that WordsrTough sent you, and they'll hook you up with a huge discount. Our third sponsor here, we have Worldwide Solutions, located in Clifton. They do taxes, travel, and insurance. Any type of business needs you have, they can even give you a good direction to go if you need some payroll services, things like that. And definitely check them out. Their info is right below. And our fourth sponsor is Rick's Barbershop in Garfield, New Jersey. If you have a important date coming up, you're going to a wedding, things like that, you're going to be photographed, definitely check them out. They're the most precise barbers in the area, and they'll definitely hook you up if you tell them WordsrTough sent you. Jose and David just mention those names, and they'll be like, no problem, right away. We'll hook you up. We just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, and back to the show. The game that was like the most intense out of all the games was definitely the one with the glass tiles.
Yeah, the glass bridge.
Yeah, but definitely I think the most that like really impacted me had to be when they picked the one person. Yeah, and they had the marbles.
The marble game.
The marble.
The one critique, I mean, I liked the bridge one because like, that's pretty intense. The thing I didn't understand with the bridge game is that like I don't understand the game in the context of a playground game, because all the games are like playground games, like tug of war, red light, green light, the cookie, the candy. It's not really a game, but that's like in referencing like an actual childhood treat, I guess, when kids would have in Korea. Like all these are actual like games you play in playground, but like the bridge, crossing the bridge, brick, like I didn't, maybe those that are listening know the reference, but I didn't understand like how is this a playground game? Like I'd never heard of this game in the context of a playground.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to my mind would be like some form of like hopscotch or something,
or like the floor is lava kind of thing. I don't know, like I couldn't figure it out, but but the marble game, I'm not, maybe I shouldn't say this about my wife, but she had a hard time sleeping. It was like really, really hard for us because it really kind of pulled in your heartstrings when like they almost kind of like Game of Thrones did, where like they made these characters kind of like really appealing, like Ali, the guy from Pakistan, and the one millennial girl that was always kind of like brooding and kind of like whatever or indifferent. Yeah, like you start liking them, and you're like, oh, she's gonna die. Like one of these people are gonna die. Like this episode has to end with them dying. But the Ali one was kind of sad because like he was so like kind of innocent, or not innocent, but so like I guess you can say the word innocent.
Yeah, and he got tricked too, which was the worst part.
But the one, I actually wrote it down so I didn't forget, but how the people died kind of corresponds on the scenes in episode 2. Like, for example, the North Korean girl, she holds a knife against a guy's throat and says, "I'll slit your throat," and that's how she dies. Ollie steals from his boss, rightfully so, but he does steal from his boss. And then he gets his marble stolen. The gangster with a tattoo on his neck, the snake tattoo, he escapes getting killed by the mob. Yakuza, whatever. Not Yakuza because it's Korea. He jumps off a bridge, but that's how he dies. So there's a lot of overlapping.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And then the friend, the businessman at the end, he attempts to commit suicide in a tub. Hopefully that doesn't demonetize us. Saying that word.
I'll snip it out. If it does.
Maybe blurp it out or censor it out. But he's all wet in a tub, and then that's how he dies, all wet, and he cuts himself. So hopefully that's not too vivid, or I guess
there'll just be a lot
vulgar.
of beeps over that whole.
Hopefully. But I mean, it's not for kids, and I remember one of my friends, I was hanging over his house and he mentioned Squid Game. He's like, "I want to watch Squid Game," and we're like, "No, you cannot watch Squid Game." It sounds like a fun game, not fun game, fun show to watch with kids because it's like a game, but it's far from it. And but the whole story overall, it's actually very good. I what I don't like is that there might be a second season. I know people like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm torn on that. This is kind of like one of those situations like with Westworld. With me, each season was kind of like its own thing. Yeah. And then it just becomes something either you don't like.
After season 2, I'm like, what am I watching? What is this? I stopped watching second or third episode season 3.
Yeah, it became a futuristic type thing on the last season.
It was too much.
I enjoyed it too, but it's definitely a huge departure from, the first season, which even the second season was too, but at least it had some continuity in the storyline. Yeah.
It was sort of you're trying to, a jigsaw puzzle you got to put together. The second season was kind of like that. You were kind of figuring out what was in the past, what was in the present. I mean, first season was similar, but yeah. But I mean, for me, this is a complete side note, but for me, it's almost like Cowboy Bebop. How it didn't come out by this point. By the time this comes out, it'll probably be already out on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix, but they're gonna make it. They made it into a live action show.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
No, I haven't.
It's a really good anime from the late 90s, early 2000s. I forgot the exact date. I think it's 98, I think.
Wow.
And it's still almost like Blade Runner. It still holds up today as an anime, but it was just one mini series. It was maybe 8 episodes, 10 episodes, and that's it. There was no second season, but they're making it into a live action show. My worry is that it does so well and on Netflix, and Netflix wants to make money, obviously. I would hate for them to make a second season of Cowboy Bebop when there wasn't even one for the original source material.
Yeah.
But the Squid Game thing, I just want the guy to be a good dad. Why?
Yep.
Just go see your daughter. You're so helpful with other people. And at the end, you're like, I'm going to be a dad with all this money. And nope, he just turns around and they tell him get on the plane and he doesn't do it. He turns around. I'm like, why would you do that?
Damn.
Just go see your daughter, give her money, whatever.
That's what. Did you hear about the whole controversy with LeBron James?
No.
Yeah, well, there was a press conference, right? And they do the basketball press conferences, kind of like me and you.
Oh.
And
okay. Yeah, I think I know the story.
One of the players showed up and was walking past him, and he's like, "Oh, you saw the ending of Squid Game?" And it's kind of vaguely picked up on the mic, they didn't even say it into the mic. And he's like, I was so mad. He's like, just get on the fucking plane and go see your kids. Kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, he mentioned but he critiqued the writing. He said, bad writing or something like that, right?
He just said, I think he said, I didn't like the ending. That's what he said. I didn't like the ending. He should have just gotten on the plane. Something like that. Then the director went off on him talking about Space Jam 2.
Yeah, Space. He referenced Space Jam was terrible. Well, I don't know if it's terrible. I heard it was terrible. I never watched it. But yeah, it was just one of those things. As a you would think after all that you would like put it behind you. Like I went through this a year ago, because a whole year passes after he wins, a whole year.
Yeah.
You would think I'm gonna just like see my daughter, and also he doesn't see his daughter for a whole year. So you gotta think about that. So I'm thinking like, why would he not want to see your daughter? But anyway, but then again, that open-ended, what I would like I'm not the writer, but if what I would have done is he goes to the United States, sees his daughter, and then when he comes back, he gets the text or he gets the information, and then that's when he does it, after he does that. But I just feel like him not, like, just never, because everyone has a complete story. I mean, even though all of them die, they all have, for the most part, a complete story, but he doesn't. He never actually, like, becomes good dad.
Yeah.
So I wish that actually happened, and then the ending would be him coming back and, like, okay, now I want to, like, deal with this.
Gotcha. And another loose end is the cop.
Detective. I don't think he died.
Yeah, I don't think he died either. I think the brother, like, they knew where to shoot him, you know?
Yeah, he shot him in the clavicle or shoulder.
And, there's also another little Easter egg with the front man, right? The brother?
As the actor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they mention him as that actor, right, in the show.
Yeah, like, the North Korean girl and the indifferent millennial girl, when they play marbles, one of them mentions the movie and the actor, and she said, "Oh, after this, we need to go watch it," or something like that. And he's the actor that plays
in that movie. Yeah,
it's a nice sort of like Easter egg, kind of like a self-referential kind of thing. At the end, you realize, oh wait, that's the actor that they reference, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
but
it's like a thing that people like they know all of the instances that's happened in other movies, you know? Like,
yeah. And one thing is, I mean, this is somewhat like, I guess, sociology or kind of thing, but like even the people that are working, like the O's and I wrote down the triangles and the squares, like the O's, the circles were like workers, like worker bees, the triangles were like soldiers, and then the squares were like the managers or like the bosses.
Yeah.
But even they didn't have like sovereignty over their own decisions. They were just like ants. Like, so in that scene where they're like hung, like where the stairs are, they're kind of walking around, they see him they weren't hung like hanged. They were just like hanging there dead. Like, it's like, oh, like, you know, everyone in this game, like everyone is in this game, whether it be a participant or a worker, you're all just kind of just pawns or gears in this game kind of thing. Which, I mean, I don't want to get into like, it's more, I guess, the whole system of the United States and, you know, workers and teachers and cops and whatever. But a lot of times, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I feel like it's similar to like police officers and teachers. People are like, oh, like you're, you know, people say, oh, like the teachers are, or like not, I was saying brain fooding, but that's not the right word. Or dang it, brainwashing our kids. Like you're brainwashing our kids in the schools. Like, listen, I can't get some of these kids to write down their names on like their artwork, let alone like I'm not teaching them anything like to like overturn the government or whatever. But like, or my brother's a cop. Similarly, like it's his job, but he's not the problem. It's the system.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So similar to the Squid Game thing, it's like it's not the people wearing the masks are the problem. It's like the old guy and the people above are the issues.
And Common Core. Right? Isn't that like the thing about that, right? Like the Common Core math.
Yeah. But yeah, it's that. So I mean, I had this discussion with my wife about that. About like, oh, like I mean, if you want to get in deep into it, like the whole like the issue with Korea and like once you're in debt, like you're like screwed. I mean, kind of here too in the United States, but really there from what I hear, if once you're in debt, there's no real way of getting out of it. There's not much of a middle class. You're the upper class or lower class. And I feel like the United States is kind of slowly becoming that. Like, there's that middle class is almost disappearing.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's almost like a mirage. Like you think you're middle class, but you're really not.
You're more lower middle.
You're just like lower class, but there's just such a lower class under you that you think you're middle class. It's like real poverty.
I mean, if you think about it, you're kind of not you, but or me. We're almost kind of like we're one economic collapse to being poor. Like we're in a class where like we're in a kind of fragile, not to be scared, not to terrify ourselves, but we're kind of in a class where like, hey, if the economy goes bad for a while, like,
yeah,
we're gonna go from middle to lower very fast.
That's why it's
almost overnight.
Yeah, that's why it's good to diversify your assets. Always
diversify your assets.
Yeah,
kids,
definitely. That's a different podcast, though. But
yeah, well, I can't say I diversify my assets. I have one asset and for one stock, and I'm hoping it explodes. We'll see. I think I mentioned that already, but
yeah.
But like, there's but Squid Game is definitely one of those shows that like it really, talks about without really literally talking about like, and also about like these issues. Also like the part where one of the workers. There's a whole side story of like getting organs and selling organs, and then that guy they get caught, and the head honcho guy, the black mask guy, he says like everyone has a fair chance and you're cheating and this and that, and I'm thinking no they don't, like no one is. This is not fair in any way, shape, or form, because in the bridge game, once they realize they figured out the game. They made it harder. So, like, that's not fair. Like, wait, so you're saying because the guy knows how glass looks, or they just turned off all the lights and made it harder? Like, that's not fair. But it's kind of, they pretend like it's a fair game, but it really isn't.
Yeah, I think with that bridge one, because those contestants don't know that there's, like, that VIP crowd that they have to cater to.
Right.
Once the VIP crowd goes, this guy figured it out. It kind of blows back on them as like, this game was stupid, like. Yeah. So then he had to change the lights to.
Yeah, it's also entertaining. Entertaining. But I would say this though: the English-speaking actors, because they weren't all English. So, I think one guy was like Chinese, I believe. The guy was sort of Australian. I don't know, but the English-speaking actors, the acting just ruined it for me. Like it was so like, hey Jim, hey Bob, get out of here, man. like what's happening? I lost money again. Damn it. Like it's just, I'm like, what? Is this how Koreans think Americans talk? Like yeah. I guess so. But I mean, but the Korean actors were amazing. But once the VIPs came and they started talking and bantering, I'm like, this is just, I don't know who they got to play these roles, but they kind of phoned it in. I don't know.
Yeah. And they made the one guy resemble someone who I shall not name because
the Dorito guy, the orange guy.
Yeah, the orange guy. Yeah, they made him look. They modeled him after him.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a coincidence that they made one of the VIP guys look very. He looked like an orange. He looked like one of the. He actually looked like this. And honestly, no one has actually guessed the name of this character yet, which I'm surprised. I'm actually want to wear I bought a hoodie of this character. My wife liked it, and we were at Marshall's, and I'm not really a fan of like fast fashion, but I was like, here's a hoodie, I'll get it.
Shout out to Marshall's.
I mean, if you want a sweater or hoodie, that's the place to get it.
Hell yeah.
But are there any other shows and or I mean, we're gonna keep talking about Squid Game, that's fine, but are there any shows or movies that you've seen that kind of got you thinking or intrigued you?
Yeah. Recently, I think did we speak about it? I went to go see No, I don't think so. I went to go see Halloween Kills. I won't spend too much time on it, but
no. I mean, we're talking about entertainment. So,
yeah, I just wanted to list some of the stuff. Halloween Kills, I went to see, for Halloween reasons. But that leads me to what I was gonna mention, which is there's this cool new season, Movies That Made Us, and they have that on Netflix.
Yeah,
That's a pretty cool show.
I saw one I saw the Alien one, and I saw the Ghostbuster one.
Yeah, and then I had watched the one for Halloween right before. That episode in general is amazing because a lot of things you don't know, and like you watch these movies and they really captivate you, but they use a lot of innovative stuff in that first Halloween, and then it shows why, like, you know, it became what it was.
And the Home Alone one is actually not bad.
Yeah, I gotta check that one out.
But what I liked about, and actually I realized I saw a lot of those episodes, and I also saw Coming to America one. The thing that's really interesting is that they really make light. I mean, they have some of the actors in these sort of mini documentaries, but they bring in the directors, the writers, the producers, those people, and how like there's a lot of factors that need to happen to make a movie, and if one of those things slips, whether it be a money thing or a writer issue or whatever, time, it's like, nope, this movie's not being made. And they could be in the middle of making the movie, and they're like, yeah, no, we're pulling the plug.
Yeah.
And they kind of did that. I don't want to spoil it, but they kind of did that for Home Alone. That movie actually didn't not to give spoiler or anything, but like in the episode, they talk about how it went from one company or one I don't know what's the name of the. It went from one movie company to another movie company, like mid film.
Wow.
Yeah, like, okay, we're dropping this movie. Oh, okay, we're picking it up then.
Yeah.
And then that company like ran with it.
Yeah, and not to bring it back, but also Squid Game. That show was written for a really long time before it was actually
a long time ago.
Yeah, Netflix picked it up, and it was like 12 years later.
Yeah, it takes time. I try to explain it to some of my students about like some of these like movies and shows and video games that you're like you love, like these. You were like 5 years old, or even less. You were like 2 when this like idea came about, and this is 12 years later.
Yeah,
like these ideas come. It takes a while and takes a lot of collaboration and like hard work for these sort of creative endeavors to happen, and also money at the end of the day, that you have to play the game of dollar bills to make certain projects happen. Like money isn't everything, but it sure lubricates the process of getting things made.
Yeah, definitely. It has to, how they say, it has to make sense.
And makes sense, to make dollars. Yeah, I've heard it before.
Yeah,
but speaking of something that took a long time to be made, I mean, it was made, and then like they try to make it again, and then it was Dune. So it was written, I mean, as a book, and like in the '60s by Frank Herbert, and they made one Dune in the '80s by David Lynch, which was so. It did not age well. Have you seen the first Dune?
Yeah,
with like Sting, and it was very weird. I mean, it did not age well at all. But then Jodorowsky, the Spanish director, writer, producer, want to make it. It never happened. It was like the best movie never made kind of thing. There's actually a documentary on it. And then now Denis Villeneuve made it, and to me it was amazing. What I didn't like isn't the movie, it's the fact that people are kind of ignorant towards it, as in like, oh, the voice is just Star Wars, or they would say, oh, like that's just like a ripoff of like this movie or that movie or Blade Runner or whatever. Like I actually made a list of like all the movies that were influenced by the book. It was Star Wars, Blade Runner, Contact, Alien, pretty much all the Alien movies, Tremors, and 2001 Space Odyssey. Like all the writers and directors of those movies acknowledge that they were inspired by the book Dune. But then Dune becomes a film, but then the film seems similar to other films. But that's because it's like the godfather of those films. So it's kind of this weird, but almost like Avatar, where like James Cameron wrote it in like the late 90s, but couldn't make it until like 15 years later.
Yeah.
Because the technology just wasn't there. So I think similar, like Dune was kind of that same thing where like the technology just wasn't, the visuals just couldn't be made until now.
Yeah. That's kind of like, you know that show, I don't know if you watched it, The Witcher?
Yeah.
That has
I love
that
it.
has kind of the same thing with Game of Thrones. Like people were like, "Oh, that's so Game of Thrones," because but The Witcher was written first.
Yeah.
And the logo looks just like Game of Thrones logo, but they had it first.
Yeah.
It's just that once they got to make the show, Game of Thrones was popular, so they're like,
Yeah,
we got to
Game of
kind of
Thrones
piggyback off that.
Yeah.
You know?
It was but I think understandably people just but hopefully you know, once they see that, oh, this is very similar to this movie, maybe they'll look it up and realize, oh wait, this is like a really old like book from a long time ago. Yeah, like The Witcher is a book series from I don't know what the year, but from some time ago.
Yeah, and the new season's coming out. Shout out to The Witcher.
But speaking of Game of Thrones and The Witcher, the guy that plays Tormund, the redhead, is it okay to say redhead? The big guy with red hair, red beard, he plays the guy in the trailer that's sort of almost like a Beast from Beauty and the Beast kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same actor. But the actor from Game of Thrones also plays in
He's
the
one of
Witcher
the
2.
like what do you call it? The wall guys, right? Like,
Yeah, no, he's one of the oh, I haven't seen that show in such a long time.
I know who you're talking about. He's friends with like they're like the wildlings, right?
The Wildlings,
The
there you
Wildlings,
go.
yeah.
He's in love with the tall blonde knight lady who's a badass. And I think the scene where she becomes a knight, where Jaime Lannister knights her, that was a great scene. And he's like, "I'll knight you all day." It's like a innuendo, like, you know, what he's talking about. But he plays in The Witcher 2, which is a nice kind of like crossover kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. But I don't have a strong opinion towards The Witcher because I haven't read any of the books and I haven't played any of the games, so I'm just watching it as entertainment. But Dune, my wife did feel kind of slighted a little bit with Dune because she has all the books, like it's like 6 or 7, it's like stacked, it's like this high. She saw the trailers and she kind of felt like the trailers are a little bit misleading because a lot of the visuals in the trailer are just sort of visions in the movie. So it seems like in the movie, oh, this scene happens, that scene happens, but when you actually watch the movie, like, oh, that's just a vision that's gonna happen in like the next movie. But what's crazy about Dune is that like the second part 2 wasn't, you know, like greenlit until like a month after, actually not even a month, like a few weeks after it came out. Which is crazy. You would think, oh, this is gonna explode. Just film the next one. And they asked Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on like the next part 2? They're like, yeah, we don't know that that's gonna happen. They're like, you know, they're kind of like, ooh, like I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't recently where they said yes, there's gonna be a part 2.
Awesome. Yeah,
But that's crazy. Like, why wouldn't you put a part 2? Like it. The whole movie is just like a prologue. Literally, it's just a prologue to like now. At the end of the film, they literally say now it begins, or now this is just the beginning, kind of thing. It's like,
yeah. It seems like you'd want to get that done with like the contract in place for like the series, you know? Like,
like guarantee. Yeah, we can definitely have a part 2. It's almost like when boxers fight, you know, they have like a rematch clause kind of thing. Like you should have that already.
Yeah, you should
have already written down, like, yeah, this is going to be made and we're going to make the next one immediately, you know. But I'm happy it's being made, but that won't happen for another, like, 3 years, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be some time. I don't even know if I'm actually talking to this thing. Hopefully the mic caught what I was saying.
Yeah. I guess one thing that I've watched recently that I got into is The Chestnut Man.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. I've gotten into a lot of these
The Chestnut Man.
Danish shows. They're really good.
Yeah, that humor is kind of different.
Yeah.
Danish humor.
This is kind of like more like a thriller, and it has like I don't want to spoil it for anybody to watch it, but there's people are found dead, and there's detectives on the prowl looking to see what happened. But that show, another Danish show that I really like is The Rain. And that's also another show where it's like
RAIN or Rain REIGN.
It's RAIN.
Okay.
So it's like this like kind of outbreak that happens, and it involves like anytime it rains, you don't want to be outside when it rains, but they do have the overdubbing thing.
Yeah, that's kind of like Death Stranding, the whole rain thing. Death Stranding is a video game.
Yeah. And they do that whole overdubbing thing, but it's weird because they overdub it in English, but they still give the people a Danish accent. I don't know.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Yeah, but it actually led me to start doing what's it called? That app that helps you learn languages.
Yeah, I forget, but yeah. There's an app that helps like translate or like you can learn different. I mean, I did that when I took a trip to Germany. I did kind of. So I took an app out and I just found different phrases like "Where's the restaurant?" or "Where's the bathroom or restroom?" What direction is this? What direction is that? Stuff like that, or how much?
Exactly.
Stuff
yeah.
like that.
And that's what I started doing, and I started learning Danish for a little while, and that was pretty cool. Just learning, kind of getting your bearings on how they talk and. It's a whole different thing because normally I've done like Spanish.
Yeah, it's like it's all Latin derivative languages.
Portuguese.
Yeah.
I dabbled a little Italian, and then you kind of get,
Yeah, Italian is still those are all overlapped. Those are all languages stemming from Latin. I think they're called the Romantic languages. I think, but when you get to Danish or German or like. German, just some connection to English there. It's very, very different.
Yeah. And the app, by the way, Duolingo.
There you go.
Duolingo, yeah. But that was a show. It's pretty cool. I haven't gotten through all of it, but it's been pretty good. That I've watched recently.
Where do you find these? Is it all on Netflix?
Yeah, that one's on Netflix. Speaking of, since you made me think of other things on Hulu. 9 Strangers, or I think it's called 9 Perfect Strangers. That was amazing, actually. It's not for everyone. It's a very slow burn. Like I said, I like watching shows that are slow burns. Like you'll watch 3 episodes and be like, but
is this a show? Like, is this happening? Has the show started yet? I mean, there's some shows like that where you just think, what? But a show that's not like that, I'm watching now, is Money Heist.
Nice.
And it's not. It's a Spanish or Spaniard show, but in Spanish, it's like the paper house or the paper building. It's not one Money Heist, but I discovered it because my student was wearing a costume. She was wearing like this jumpsuit all red with a hood, and she had a Salvador Dali mask, and she said, I'm like, oh, you know what I am? I'm like, I have no clue. Are you wearing a Salvador Dali mask? She's like, yeah, Money Heist. I'm like, Money Heist? It's like, it's a show. I'm like, I've never heard of it. So I started watching it. It's okay. It's definitely one of those, you know how sometimes you see a show and you see like, oh, there's like 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then you start watching it and I'm like, can I watch this for 5 seasons? Like, it's a good show, but I want to hold off on my thoughts. I'm only up to like episode 3 or 4. It's like the title says, it's about Money Heist. They explain everything literally within the first 15-20 minutes of the show. It's really good, but I just feel like right now there seems like there's so many plot holes, but then again, I don't know, because similar to Squid Game. Like, I thought that by this point, if you haven't seen Squid Game, then I can't help you. But like Money Heist or like the references you made, like the shows you made, I get why someone hasn't watched that, because like they might be very good, but no one's ever heard of it. But Squid Game is one of those things where it's I think the most watched show ever on Netflix, like in history ever.
Yeah.
Like, right. I felt like there's a plot hole when the old man started yelling when there was like a riot inside like where their domicile. And then like he said, I'm scared, stop this madness kind of thing. And they stopped. I'm like, is that a plot hole or did he just tell them to stop and they actually stopped? And I was like, that's kind of weird. Why would they care what this old man thinks? And of course at the end you realize why they would listen to him. But it's kind of one of those things where I think there's some plot holes in this show called Money Heist, but I won't know until I actually watch the rest of the season. We'll see. But it's really good. I'm actually a fan, I think we're the same boat, of watching like foreign, I hate to say the word foreign, but films that aren't made in the U.S., or U.S. Run. I mean, especially Korean, I think what got me into Korean cinema or shows is Parasite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great.
What I liked about Parasite, I mean, other than the film being amazing, is that it kind of showed the U.S. Western market, like, hey, like, we can write too, as like we can make good movies.
Yeah,
you guys can make movies, but we can make movies too. So it's one of those things. Honestly, I'm gonna predict this. Similar to Slumdog Millionaire, I think Bollywood movies right now they're kind of seen as kind of like jokey. They're kind of like, there's a lot of singing and dancing and this and that. But I can guarantee you within the next, 5 years, just a Bollywood movie is going to win an Oscar.
Yeah?
I think so.
Nice.
They're going to figure it out. Like, how do we get this into, Western cinema? And not be just viewed as, another Bollywood film. Because there's some action Bollywood films that are, they're, almost, ridiculously, almost caricature-esque,
Yeah, and speaking of non-domestic box offices,
that's a good way of saying it. Non-domestic.
Did you see? There's this movie in China that it's about the Chinese defeating American insurgents on an island. And
what's the name of the island?
Supposedly, I have to look up the name of the movie, but supposedly it was the top grossing film in the history of the world because they have the biggest box office.
Of course.
And it's about beating Americans in a war. So it's kind of scary. I kind of want to see it.
Did that actually happen? I don't know.
Yeah, it just happened. Let me see. I'm just going to find out the name of the movie real quick.
America lost in a war? No.
Well, I think it's a fictional war.
No, yeah, almost like a Quentin Tarantino kind of thing, where it's like,
oh yeah, the battle at Lake Changjin.
Okay,
and it just came out. I don't know, because a few months ago, and it was something crazy, 208 million box office weekend, opening weekend.
I mean, what can unite China more than them? A movie beating the United States in a war.
Yeah, it was an expensive movie, so I mean they broke into the green, but for the first week. Oh no, I'm sorry. As of October 18th, it had grossed 769 million in China. So
769 million.
So they made a good flip on that, because
it was crazy. 769 million. That's a fraction of what Jeff Bezos has.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
And you see how much it took for them to make that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or I was gonna say not Steve Jobs. What's the guy that made Microsoft? Jesus. Bill Gates. There you go.
Gates,
Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, 700 million for them is that's not even a third of what they have.
Yeah.
Because a billion is 100 million. No, a billion is 1,000 million? No.
Billion? Yeah, a billion is 1,000 million.
1,000 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they have several billion, so them 700 million is nothing.
Yeah. If any of them are watching, just send us 10 million real quick.
Give me 0.05. It's that's more than enough. Several billion is ridiculous. The amount of money that those guys have, it doesn't make. They can literally do a Thanos snap and cure world poverty.
Yeah, you know what? There was actually an interesting article where
this has nothing to do with movies, but still, though, that's just a thought.
Yeah, the UN put out some like, they put out things like, oh, this is how much it costs to save the world or whatever, and they said it cost $6 billion to end world hunger
completely.
Yeah,
just like
so. Then Elon Musk tweeted at them. He's like, "Show us the proof, and I'll gladly put the money up." I guess, or maybe he could like crowdsource.
Oh yeah,
like
he'll figure out how to make money.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'd gladly put the money up if you could, kind of like
provide the receipt."
Yeah,
like give me the receipt and I'll pay.
Yeah, put my money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I mean, I believe him when he says that. But then again, he's kind of detached because he had one interview, recent. I don't think it was recent, but it was I saw just a clip of it. I gotta watch the whole interview. But there's a part of the interview where he talks about like how like cheap or like affordable electricity is in Australia, and the reporter's like, no, people don't have electricity in certain parts of Australia. And he's like, really? He's like, yes. And he's like, huh. Like he was just really like taken aback by like, some people just don't have electricity. Almost like that one interview with Mariah Carey, how she just said that electricity was free. And the guy's like, no, it's not. He's like, the electricity's not free. He's like, yeah, well, it's free in America. And he's like, I can guarantee you it's not free in America. But I think there's I'm sure Elon Musk, I don't know him at all, but I'm sure he's a nice guy. I hope he is, at least. I hope he's a nice guy. But there is a bit of a detachment on like when you get to that amount of like wealth, not rich, wealth, like there is a bit of like detachment on like how regular people live,
Yeah, that's why a lot of times, like I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories. For me, like I hit a certain age where scary movies didn't scare me anymore, and what scared me was like what President Bush was really gonna do, and all the the different scenarios people would make up were just interesting to me. All the conspiracies going down, all of them, UFOs, JFK, the flat Earth, hollow Earth, all the Earths, all the Earths,
all the Earths,
and just going through and watching the videos, it was just fun for me. One of the things I thought, like, if people really believed about the New World Order and things like that,
like Illuminati kind of stuff?
Illuminati, like, wouldn't they, like, they're all so rich, like the people at the top, like they could have easily been like, let's make like some kind of fund and put it in some kind of like, like I guess like some kind of trust where it keeps interest bearing like itself, and just growing and growing and never runs out of money, and just like like end world hunger, things like that, like start chipping away at little world problems where they could be looked at as the heroes, and this would facilitate an easy way to be like, hey, we're like a one world type thing, you know what I mean? Like I just think if they really wanted to do it, they have the money to do it, like kind of just blowing open.
Do you
that
think
conspiracy.
I'm going to be a little bit devil's advocate, because I do agree with you, but that's not much of a conversation. But what if they would just say, well, if I can make it, why can't they? Do you think some of them might just have that kind of attitude, like, well, if I pull myself in quotes pull myself from my bootstraps, kind of thing, why can't they do it? I did it. I came from nothing, in quotes. Because most of the people that say they came from nothing, you came from something. Like, I'm not saying you came from wealth, but like, for example, say this to Kanye West. Like, was he born in wealth? No, but he was born with a very, very supportive family, specifically a supportive mother that would just like, literally sacrifice a lot for him to go pursue music and everything.
Yeah.
Even making music in his house. So that's not nothing. That's something. Nothing is nothing. Like nothing is like you're like in the middle of the woods with with the naked. That's nothing. But even then, there's something there. I don't know. But I feel like maybe I'm kind of being devil's advocate, but I think maybe some of my people feel like, well, this is the 21st century. If you can't make it, then I can't help you.
That is a very corporate style mentality. Yeah. Like,
I don't agree with that. But I think some people think that.
No, yeah, for sure it would do that. But I think like for them, like if they had this other major plan of taking over the world and making a one world government, like the ends would justify the means of them like satisfying, like like now there's no
give
homeless,
everybody be a hero or be the
Yeah, like
Robin Hood
they
of
have the
sorts.
money to just sit together and be like, hey, let's make like some huge apartment complexes and get people off the street. No more homeless, no more hungry, and in return, draft all these laws where you know what I mean. Like I just feel like if that was a thing,
Yeah.
I just think they're actually battling each other, so they can't ever really get together. Like rich people, you know, like
Yeah,
just
like how much more money do you need? I
Yeah.
don't know, but I mean, it does. John Oliver had a video recently about poverty, and he said it actually costs less money to just give people homes than to have like these like programs that bring, you know, like shelters and all these sort of things that temporarily help, but not really. It actually costs less money just to have, you know, apartments and, you know, maintain it for them and help them out than to just like whatever programs we're currently doing, which don't do much.
yeah. No, yeah, I believe that because then you have to hire like massive amounts of people and yeah. It's rough.
I mean, in a way, I kind of keep pulling this back to Squid Game. Like, in a way, it's kind of like that. It's like, okay, you can help these people, help them pay their debts. No, you're going to make a game. And they die.
Yeah.
And all of them die except for one. So it's kind of like that. I mean, it's kind of interesting how we kind of, I guess the title of this could just be Squid Game. But it's a very... I mean, we can't figure this out in a podcast, obviously. But yeah, it's a very bizarre like predicament. Like, I mean, and I was also thinking like, if I had that amount of money, would I do the same? I would like to. I mean, and I told my wife and my family like, if I ever were to accrue a large amount of wealth, after dealing with all my expenses and debts and making sure my family is safe, like, why not like make like donate money, make programs, build houses, affordable houses, not affordable for rich people, affordable for like lower class people. And I don't know.
Yeah. I think the same thing. I think like I would want to do that kind of stuff, you know, just to show, like kind of lead by example for other people that have that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like why do, you know, of course people are philanthropic, you know, and like
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of programs, a lot of grants, but I just feel like there's more that can be done, you know, like a lot more, you know.
Yeah,
like,
of course. Of course.
Yeah.
But this is a complete like really bad segue, but whatever. But the fun thing about the slap game where like, you know, you have these like folded like envelopes, one, and this is in reference to the Squid Game, one's red and one is blue. I wrote it down. Everyone that plays always uses the blue paper tile, even after losing over and over again. Like when the guy keeps getting slapped, he always uses the blue.
Mm-hmm.
He can't flip the red, but the red always flips the blue.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's like not just for that guy, but for all the people that played it. And I think it's really bizarre. Kind of like, can't they see that the blue isn't working? Well, wouldn't they grab the red instead?
Yeah.
You know.
I guess. Wait, does he ask him the first time? Does he ask him red or blue?
I don't know. I gotta watch it again. But
you know what?
He does hold it up in his hand.
Because I remember it being a little matrixy to me. You know, like the red or the blue
pill, red pill. Yeah,
but
matrixy.
It also works with the uniforms. You know how like they have the blue jumpsuits against the red. It might just be a little nod to that.
Yeah. Actually, I went to H Mart, which is this. I think it's Korean. I don't know. It's definitely an Asian market. There's like 3 or 4 in New Jersey, and they had the turquoise blue-green jumpsuits you can buy. I mean, they're obviously very cheaply made, but it was kind of cool how you can just buy a tracksuit. But it was one of those phenomenons that's kind of happened. I'm sure in Comic-Cons and different sort of like fairs, people are gonna be wearing that.
Yeah, they said that all the white Vans got sold out because that's what like they wear in the show. You know, like
white
not Vans like the trucks, but like white Vans sneakers.
Yeah, because that's all they wore. The laceless shoes.
Yep. They were sold out everywhere.
Yeah. And the main female protagonist. Two interesting and fun facts. One is that's her first acting role ever. She's never acted. She's a model that turned actress, and that's her first role. And 2, when she's speaking with her brother, there's scenes where she's speaking with her brother. She's speaking with a North Korean accent, and when she's speaking with like inside, the game, she's speaking with a South Korean accent. But it's one of those things you wouldn't even notice. I mean, I didn't notice until I read it, so I don't speak Korean. This is one of those things that you don't really pick up unless you actually speak Korean. Like, oh, she's kind of putting up a front. Like, she's not. She's pretending to be South Korean, but she's really North Korean.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little bit of, I guess, a fun fact. But, and also the Ali, the Pakistani guy, when he's with his family, he seems very certain and like very like, how you say, he acts different with his family than when he acts with other Korean people. He's very like modest and like very proper. So it's those are sort of things that you don't really notice until like the second time you watch it, or if you have to like read about it, like, oh wait, okay, that's why, because he's from Pakistan, so he learns very academic Korean, so therefore he's always bowing and saying sir, and they're like, okay, stop it. Imagine someone always calling you mister. Hey, mister this. Okay, stop calling me mister. Similar to that, like he's always, so because he learned, he knows very parochial Korean, but all these sort of things you wouldn't notice watching it, either dub or sub, because reading it you don't pick it up either.
Yeah.
But overall, it's hopefully we didn't spoil the show for you, but we didn't give the ending. Did we?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we did.
About LeBron.
Anyway, whatever. But we talk about like him. We never mentioned people by name. But anyway, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Even if we spoil it for you, it's still very entertaining to watch everything. And I'm sure we missed like a bunch of different little details. And but episode 6 was like heart wrenching.
Yeah. You know what else was got me when after he's out and he meets the young, I don't know if it was her son or little brother. Remember her little brother?
Yeah.
He's like, did you know her? And he's like, oh.
Yeah. No.
Or he asks her if he knows where she is, right?
He asks her if she knows where she is.
Yeah.
So yeah, he knows where. Yeah, he knows. That's sad. But we can end that downer.
If you guys haven't watched Squid Games, definitely do that.
Or any of the, we mentioned Dune or Money Heist. I saw Venom 2, which I didn't mention. And there's several.
Yeah, I don't know if I said it in the last time we did a few episodes like this, but Mayor of Easttown was great. Your Honor just got set up for a second season. That was great. I watched the 3rd season of You. That was awesome too. So
yeah, I have people that still compare me to the main character. I don't get it. I've never watched a show, and I'm happy I never have.
It's funny. I never thought of that, but now that you mention it,
I guess. But I know we were kind of winding down, but I've been working at my current job since 2017, 18. Every year, I have at least 2 or 3 students that said, "Have you seen the show You?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "You remind me of the character." I'm like, "What character?" "The main character." I'm like, now I kind of play along. I'm like, "What character are you talking about?" They're like, "Oh, like the main character." Like, "Oh, what does he do?" Like, "Oh, he's kind of like a serial killer." I'm like, "Oh, you compare me to a serial killer. That's nice." But I hear I act like him or talk like him or something. I don't know what it is, but a lot of my students, previous students and current students, mention that. They say, "Oh, you kind of like the guy from You." I don't. But I kind of like the fact that I've never watched the show, so I'm good, kind of being like aloof about it.
Yeah, gotcha. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And when you do watch it, I think you'll know.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll watch it eventually one day.
But so that was another episode of Words Are Tough. Definitely check out any of the stuff we mentioned, or leave comments on stuff we should check out. We'll include in our next episodes.
And like and subscribe, of course.
Definitely. And the notification bell. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. We appreciate you checking us out again. And we'll be back very soon with some more episodes on stuff that you guys want us to talk about. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and my co-host,
David Diokendo.
This is Words Are Tough. Thank you, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.